Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community, all of the interwebs. Their channel is working hard to keep you in the know when it comes to crypto. It's Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you talk about your favorite topics with your favorite guests today. Yet again, no exception. We even got a new guest on. We're going to start on the top right from his favorite white-walled mansion. It is Mr. Litecoin himself, Tom Crown. Then on the bottom right, it's the first time he's on, so I'm looking forward to see how Danny's going to do. Danny Devan, or how do you pronounce that last name? Devan?
It's actually Devan, so you actually got it right the first time.
I knew it. Then on the bottom left, always serving up spoonfuls and morsels of goodness, mac and cheesy. And then on the top left, he's going to try to take the crown today. It is Ben Armstrong, but we're going to talk about the SEC Ian Bellina case, and are they overstepping their bounds with how they are trying to classify Ethereum? Also, big news for XRP and the CFTC, and you've seen it on the charts. We maybe break down the rumor behind everything, and is there when there's smoke, is there fire here? And we're going to end it with Cardano Dreams, more stuff from Snoop and Son. But before we do, let's look at the crypto markets, see where things are going. We are firmly in the negative. We have Bitcoin down about 3%. If I refresh, just get that fresh data, and you can see it here. Yeah, down about 2.8. Ethereum holding up a little bit better. Tom, you're the trader guy here. I mean, been watching some of these levels. We've talked about it before. We've talked about some of these levels. We talked about 19K and 20K, and here we are, a little below 19K. So what are the levels you're looking at, and what do you expect in the next few days?
Yeah, my TradingView app decided to crash like right as you asked me this. So trying to pull this up quick. You know, the same levels are still in play. I hate to be, beat that dead horse, but we're looking at June's low, 17.5. I got a chart up. Let's see, this month's low down at 18.2. I mean, these levels are no surprise. They're nothing new. Really, I was in a long, I took some profit, and my advice, and it's not financial advice, but I'm not looking to hold a position into the meeting tomorrow, the FOMC meeting. I think we're going to see some high volatility. Pretty much all eyes are on it. I think there's potentially some big moves, some big volatility in the cards for tomorrow. So I'm pretty much just chilling. I'm going to see how that plays out. Everything's been red all week. The only thing up is what bonds, 2-year bonds hit 4%. That's like a decade plus high. I'm not interested in bonds. I don't know about the viewers out there, but 4% over 2 years is not really my thing.
No.
Keep watching the same levels, man.
Yeah, when we're barely reaching 20% of inflation, that doesn't seem like an attractive investment opportunity. But speaking of investment opportunities, the SEC is setting up a case against Ian Bellina. We have a little headline here. I kind of want to read a factoid or two. Here's Gary Gensler. The case against Ian Bellina hints plan to govern Ethereum. They're trying to use the legal precedent set in this case. And this is how he basically conducted a sale of Sparkster tokens during the ICO 4 years ago. And mind you, it was a different ecosystem back then. He raised about $30 million from about 4,000 investors. Now, Bellina, he is the founder of Token Metrics. A lot of people remember the ICO craze. Ben, before we get into this topic and the nuts and bolts, can you just paint a picture? When people say ICO craze, not everyone was around. What was the ICO craze? What does this mean? And what was the ecosystem like at that time?
Well, there was no talks of clarity or regulation at this time. You
SEC. You talk about the college division, right?
Exactly,
that's what everyone would say back then.
It's a conference with two divisions, but anyways,
I'll put in my 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, things were much different back then. And so now what we're seeing, look, you had something like BitConnect that was an obvious Ponzi scheme, and the people pushing BitConnect, at least one of them admitted in court that they knew it was a scam and they were pushing it, right? So you had some stuff back then that was a little SEC related that was very clear, right? You're like, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a scam, you're still trying to push it. Obviously, people need to be punished for that. You start moving to ICOs and things get a little dicey because what the SEC is trying to do, they're trying to do enforcement retroactively for things that did not have clarification. Now, where they're really getting Ian Bellina here is I just tell you my understanding of what has happened. Now, I talked to Ian briefly about this just through text. He didn't give me a lot of detail. I didn't ask for details. I just told him, hey, man, I saw everything, support you. If you need anything, I'm here. And, he sent me the tweet that he put out on Twitter. Best place to put out a tweet, as we all know. I should get 2 points for that.
Not MySpace.
Yeah, no, not a top 8. You don't want a top 8 tweet. So anyways, the thing is he put out a full rebuttal. His lawyers did, his counsel did, to the whole thing, basically saying that a lot of stuff is made up and it's just fabricated. And that what has happened here is it seems because Spark Token just settled with the SEC, from my understanding. And so it looks like part of that settlement was them, selling out Ian. That's what it seems like to me that happened here. Now, I don't think Ian's going to put stuff in writing as an answer to this that isn't true. I mean, he's smart enough to know that.
He's a smart guy. I have met him, friend of the channel. He is a very smart guy. If you speak to him.
He's a great guy. He's a good person. He's a good person. He wants to help people. The ecosystem was so much different back then. It was hard. Now it's easy to look back on his list of ICOs, and out of the 15 that were in the document, 14 of them pretty much failed. One of them, Phantasma, did really well. We like Phantasma Soul. It's a good project. We still do like that one. But the whole thing is that we didn't know all those were going to be failures, because guess what? Do you want to know what the number one coin of 2017 was? Bar none. It was IOTA. It increased like 68,000% or something like that. It was nuts. You know what it was?
I remember looking at that chart a lot too.
Yeah. It was an ICO. Yeah. It was an ICO. You know what Cardano was? It was an ICO. You know what Tron was? It was an ICO. You know what EOS was? It was an ICO. So what happened is you had a lot of this. This is very important for people to understand the perspective of history in crypto. You had this ICO craze where all these projects were crushing it, killing it. XRP token sale. Now it was back in 2015, a little bit older, but many of the top projects started out in this ICO stage. And many of these, Ian helped people find. We get to the end of the bull run, 2018, when we're now in a bear market, but people don't realize it. And Ian is still talking about a lot of these ICOs that are coming out that are new, that have potential. Well, it's bear market at that point, and people don't realize it yet. So all of those tokens went down to pretty much nothing, because almost everything went down to nothing during that time. So a lot of these ICOs failed. And what happened is you had people making a coin for everything. Very similar to the NFT craze. That's what the ICO craze was like at that time. Almost everything that launched as an ICO in 2018 failed. And so what happened is it took a long time. This is why I was so quick to call this a bear market, because it took the people at that time much longer to realize where they were. And they were still pushing things as like, hey, this could be some potential here. Maybe if you were to buy this ICO, maybe it would go up. Or I'm sure it was much more colorful language than that. But the idea was they didn't realize they were throwing money into a fire, but they were. So that's why Ian gets a lot of flack, because there was a long time after the market had peaked that he was still operating under the same kind of presupposition. We didn't have another Bitcoin cycle yet to kind of see how this works. And so, that's kind of what happened. That's how things were crazy back then. There wasn't regulation. There wasn't clarity. And, I do just want to reiterate, like Ian says, a lot of stuff the SEC is saying is just not true.
Yeah. And I would like to reiterate again, we talked about, if you were there back then, it was a different time. I would just, even if you weren't back there, ask yourself at home, when you first got into crypto, did you think it just goes up forever? I did. Hit that like button. If at one point you're like, oh, wow, I just made this much in a week, it goes up forever, right? This is how it works. All right, Mac and Cheesy, let's talk about the Eth Node Clusters. They're trying to say they have jurisdiction over this because a lot of the money was sent over EVM. And then they have the largest cluster of nodes is in the U.S. About 43% of ETH nodes are based in the U.S. Second is Germany, I think roughly 12%. It's not even 50%. They're just saying it's the largest cluster based in the U.S. Does that give the SEC jurisdiction? Why or why not?
No. Well, long story short, they're literally just finding something that they could put their hands or point their finger towards and then use that for their case. It feels a lot like they're cherry picking information in a sense of how they want to build a case out, because they're just looking for these things. And I think Ben made a ton of good points about how when you're living through it and the comparison between ICOs and now kind of NFTs, if you rewind back to September of literally last year, and if you got into crypto around then, there was this NFT craze where everything was going up, everything was going up, everything was an NFT. And that's much more recent. And now when we're looking at it, we're like, oh, of course those things failed, or a lot of them did fail. Of course, I still believe in them long term. But so that, if you look at that, and then now you kind of go back farther, and it's like, okay, this 2017, 2018 time with the ICOs, okay, like that makes sense. And I think if you think about it from the lens of, it may have literally just happened to you in the NFT space, it's like, okay, in the ICO space, that's kind of what was going on. And I think in terms of kind of retroactively attacking things, we're probably going to see that a lot in the crypto space in general. And kind of to continue with the ICO versus NFTs, I think we're probably going to see a lot of people that founded NFT projects to get in trouble in a sense of what they were promising and what they actually provided. So I think this is a running theme in crypto, primarily because it is a new technology. So there isn't necessarily precedence. So then once precedence is set, now it's like, okay, let's retroactively attack people. And then also it just has a big target on its back.
Yeah.
The people in power don't want crypto people to win.
Yeah, good point there. Especially when they're helping little people win, to Ben's point. All right, Danny, I'm going to ask you to put on Cerebrus now. I think you're sitting in a chair. So put on your Professor X hat. Let's try to read the mind of Gary Gensler here. What is the motivation of the SEC with this action? Are they trying to broaden their powers because the CFTC is starting to come up and gain some teeth and claws here? Or is this just a strictly protect investment and investors move?
Honestly, I really think that he's really just trying to put his claws on, because, I mean, we all know regulations are coming, but we just don't know when it's going to come or like at what moment, because, I mean, we all know Congress is just little children just bickering back and forth. So I really think that this is just a start to something, and he's just trying to use this as some type of a scare tactic. But I don't see this materializing like in the coming months or in the coming, possibly even in the year, until like later on, possibly after the elections, maybe during the next bull market. But I think this is just the beginning to something, and I think he's just like poking around right now. But I don't see this materializing into something big until the future.
Okay, I think that's a good assessment. It's the or another way of saying it is the throw the you know what against the wall, see what sticks strategy. All right, and then unfortunately, Ian he caught a big old cow pie there. All right, let's talk about XRP Army. If you're watching, hit that like button. Go ahead and smash that. It doesn't cost you anything here. XRP and CFTC. That is right. There is a secret meeting that took place. The price of XRP obviously reflecting that. We have massive pumps. Not only that, we have massive pumps while Bitcoin is moving down. And that's the main point. We're up over 20% on the 7-day. At one point, it was up over 10% on the 24-hour. And the reason might be this. There have been some rumors. Caroline Pham, she's an American attorney. She is one of there's only 5 of them. One of the 5 commissioners with the CFTC. And she recently met with Brad Garlinghouse. Those who don't know, CEO of Ripple Labs. Now, they had an official statement. This was on her end. She said this was a learning tour. And on his end, he called it public-private engagement, talking about the public sector and the private sector. Now, Ben, I'm going to bring it to you first. You know, this XRP story. Yeah. Have you heard any rumors? Can you give us any alpha? And do you buy the official story of learning tour and public-private relations?
Yeah, I do buy that. I do buy that. I'm sorry. I don't want to.
Oh, man, I want a secret knowledge. Yeah, they had a meeting. I got the slide. No.
Look, Caroline Pham has been on a tour. She's been on a tour going everywhere. She wants to learn about crypto. She wants to learn about blockchain. She wants to see what's happening at these companies. And she's consistently been doing this over the last few months. That's what separates her from Gary Gensler. Is Gary Gensler doesn't care. He doesn't care how you operate. He doesn't want to meet you in person. You know where he wants to meet you? In court. That's where he wants to meet you. Why? Because what he's going to do, he's going to strong arm you by making false accusations to settling to pay him money. That's what he is doing. Caroline Pham is not like that. You want to know why? The CFTC is not a money-hungry organization. The SEC makes, I don't know what the number is, but their budget dwarfs the CFTC. Why? Because they go after people through enforcement, whereas the CFTC, they take a much different approach. And you can also think of it in terms of once things reach over into the commodity basket, away from the potential security basket, then there's not as much room for wrongdoing there, right? So that's what we want to see. We want to see Caroline Pham and the CFTC take a lot of these responsibilities. And I'm just telling you guys, there is a plan. There is a plan to, basically through the CFTC to take crypto completely away from the SEC and Gary Gensler. And I think that she knows. There's some things that makes me think that she knows about this. I'm pretty sure she probably does know what is. We're behind some of this stuff right here at BitBoy Crypto. We're behind some of this stuff, trying to push this stuff. And, once again, can't make the stuff public yet. We want to as soon as we can. But I did reach out to Charles Hoskinson about it today. Just maybe about an hour ago, I sent him an email. There are many plans to take the power away from the SEC. But the problem is you can't take it away from them directly. You have to indirectly take the power away from them. And that is what's going on all across the government. The government is so embarrassed by Gary Gensler. They're embarrassed by the SEC. You don't think it would look, certainly, I believe Caroline Pham went to Ripple to learn about what's going on with Ripple, to learn how the company operates, to learn more about XRP, the RippleNet. I'm sure she did that. But you don't think there was a little something to that picture?
Yeah.
Brad Garlinghouse, Caroline Pham, Ripple, CFTC, side by side smiling. I'm telling you. This is going on behind the scenes. A lot of people don't understand what's happening right now, but basically Gary Gensler is trying to turn into Darth Vader, and everybody else is trying to remove him from power.
We're just getting this in. Someone checked the other photo, and one of them had their fingers crossed behind their back. So now we don't know. Now we don't know.
We saw the back of the photo.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. Now, Tom, let's talk price. You're our charts guy here. Massive pumps with XRP. We've talked about, the charts will predict the news. Was this another case, or did this pump just come up out of nowhere? This is a big market cap.
Yeah, no, XRP actually is looking really good. I looked at it on stream yesterday. It broke through. I was looking at about a 39-cent resistance. And today, with 2.5 hours left, XRP is looking to close the highest day in maybe 100 days. I mean, that's pretty significant. Charts do very often front run the news. I'm not claiming necessarily that there's going to be some XRP news soon, and this is why. But I mean, if we were to look at the charts and just use that, it's looking decent. I rarely say that. You guys have been on this channel and I've said the opposite before. Right now, it is what it is. What I'm seeing across the government, and it does go to Ben's point, Caroline doing some learning education. We saw they even named it Under the Radar Alternative Payment System Solutions by the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services. The government, maybe they aren't our best friends, but there are people in the government looking to learn about this. And I watched the whole thing, and there were 2 or 3 people who really represented crypto strongly, really came off intelligent and patient with these people asking questions. And kind of the consensus from the people asking questions, the people in government, in my opinion, it just looked like they were like, oh, wow, we really are behind. Like, we're really behind and we don't know what we're doing. And we really need resources to understand what's happening and what the implications are. So I think that there is definitely some regulation type stuff coming. I think that isn't a mystery, but I think some of it is going to end up being good. And hopefully that's in the CTFC's hands, as they have recently stated that there are, quote, many cryptocurrencies that constitute commodity.
All right. I just want to share this because, man, you said there's little resistance at 39. You can see it perfectly here. This is the 39-second level here. Boom. Perfect rejection off of it. Scam pump above to get everybody open the long. Boom. Massive. Let's wash out all the traders. Let's reject off of it with the lower high. Let's reject off it again. And then, like you said, once it passed 39 cents, off to the races. And yeah, highest close in 100 days. Looking pretty bullish there. All right, Mac and Cheesy. We're kind of painting this picture where the left hand is not talking to the right hand when it comes to SEC and CFTC here. Why not? Why is there infighting here? Why would they have misaligned interests? Why aren't they all on the same page?
I think when is there a proper conversation amongst left hand and right hand? And really,
man, don't give me that question. I'm going somewhere bad with that.
Well, I think that's what everyone was kind of. But anyway, I think it just comes down to a lack of foundational understanding across the board. When you say the word car, I think everyone on the planet thinks of a car. When you say the word,
I think Cardano,
dollar, or Cardano, or whatever you're thinking of. But So if you're thinking of like a US dollar, right, there's this understanding amongst everybody who's kind of when you're having these conversations. But now when you're talking about whether it's securities and you're talking about crypto and how it relates, these terms and these technologies are so new that there isn't this foundational understanding across the board from people. And although they may be kind of in similar organizations, if you were to look at like a parent structure, they're essentially different entities. So thinking of them as different businesses that are operating, and people day to day, you know, they're doing different things and they have different understandings. So sure, there might be knowledge transfers every now and then, but they're coming to the different conclusions and they're thinking about problems and coming to different answers. So it's hard with all these new technologies in their defense on some of the kind of misalignment, miscommunication, because until there's really accepted terms and those can be the foundation for the learning and for just like conversations, I think we're going to continue to see things like this.
All right, now Danny, let's talk about our two-pronged approach almost here with Ripple. As Ben said, we have the picture of them two, Pham and Garlinghouse. They're smiling together, and then we have Gensler. I don't think he's going to be smiling in a photo with Brad anytime soon. So we have on one end SEC kind of going after him, but then on the other hand we have the CFTC kind of working with them. Is that how you see it? And is this going to play out, with a cooperation on one end and an adversarial, understanding on the other? How does this resolve in the long run?
So I actually 100% agree with what Ben was saying, because I remember when we had the, I think it was like the testimonies with big crypto officials that came on, where we had like CEOs of crypto exchanges, and they were really explaining everything that was in the crypto world. And I remember the report that came out after, and it really showed that there was just a major divide between the SEC and then also the CFTC. And I truly think in the future, the power is going to eventually go to the CFTC, because the SEC clearly is not doing anything right. And I feel like they're so stuck on like old technology and the whole threat that crypto has on banks that they don't want it to go the route that they see. And like a lot of people are still learning this technology. So I personally would love everything to go towards the CFTC and again, regulations to come in the future. But I believe this is going to be a constant tug of war, and it's going to last for some time. But I do see the CFTC coming up on top, because just reading all the research and the crypto orders and everything that they've actually like published out, you see that they're actually taking active approaches to actually understand and get to know what cryptocurrency is, what the future is, like what use it can have. And again, Ben hit this on the head perfectly when he was talking about it, where basically the CFTC is taking proactive approaches compared to the SEC, who are just like, you know what, let's see who we can sue. I mean, not sue, who we can investigate next, and let's see what we can uncover. When the CFTC is more taking an active approach, and like, again, them visiting XRP is just another active way of actually learning about the technology compared to the SEC, who's just the villain.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's a big difference. We have a reactive and a proactive approach, and no pun intended, but someone's getting popped here. All right, Ada Dreams. Let's move on and talk a little Snoop and Son and the Clay Mates. Here is the track. I'm not sure. Could probably hear that, right? Okay, little clip. 13 seconds. All right, Snoop, Son, Cardano, Hoskinson. We got a hawk, baby. All right, yeah, that is it right there. There's the DZ ad libs added over that, but 3 additional tracks or original tracks, and this is on existing NFTs. The NFTs sold months and months ago, almost a half year ago, and then they updated the metadata on the NFT, where it all of a sudden now has songs that live on the blockchain forever. Mac and Cheesy, I just said a whole bunch of nerdy stuff. Can you unpack that a little bit? I mean, break it down like I'm 5. When NFT equal music?
So effectively, when you see your image that's on your NFT itself, that is pointing to the metadata of the information of the NFT. So think about, here's the image, and then where does that point to? Or here's my NFT, and that points to a location. And very similar to that of a Google Drive. So when you have a Google Drive, you have folder /ape NFT /image URL, and then / the actual image. Now, this is normally located on IPFS in the Ethereum world, which is kind of a decentralized Google Drive. And what that allows for you to do is you can actually change where the NFT is pointing to. So same way with a Google Drive, you can kind of replace that image. You can kind of replace the thing, the metadata. You can replace the image with something like a video. So that's something that some critics will say is actually a bug, in a sense that you don't actually, the image isn't necessarily stored on chain, which is the truth of the matter for the majority of NFTs, because the image asset itself is way too big to hold on chain. But you can do cool things like this. And that's also why a lot of times if you launch an NFT project, if the image itself has issues, it's not necessarily a problem, because you can update the metadata, update the IPFS hash. So it's not a major deal.
And a little clarification, the IPFS, interplanetary file system that is on Ethereum, Cardano on-chain.
That's not the hit, right?
But yeah, as BJ, you know, he was making sure I shared that information, of course, there. All right.
It's a similar concepts, right? So they're all, I primarily build on the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah. We know you're a Solidity man. That's okay. Tom, let's talk about NFTs. You know, we're starting to see more mainstream action, but we don't see mainstream adoption here. Do you have any take on when you think we'll actually use NFTs to listen to music during a workout? Is this something that's just a pipe dream that'll never happen, or will Spotify be using NFTs eventually, or whatever the streaming service is?
Yeah, you know, I was surprised during 2021, during pretty much, as we were saying earlier, like the NFT craze, the ICO craze equivalent, that music wasn't a bigger part of it. And we talked about the applications and gaming. We talked about, you know, all kinds of things. And music is really where I saw this going, music and art. And it doesn't really seem like it went that way. And maybe that's akin to the ICO craze didn't really go towards, you know, we didn't see many of these coins solving real problems at the moment. Maybe that's just down the line. I'm not the NFT expert for sure. I'm in the space, but I would like to see it go more in the music direction. I think that artists should be the focus of NFTs kind of productivity and should benefit them. I just don't have the answer. I hope it is part of the future, and that's the way I see it. I just don't have the application for you, unfortunately.
All right. Well, Ben, you know, we've talked about Audius back in the day. We had, you know, the Hit Music crew, you know, they're always, you know, they're working with that. And we know, you know, more than most how this system works. And I want to share some names. I can't share the names, but we've had some meetings with some high-level music people as well. What kind of timeline do you give? I mean, is this actually a better question? Will Spotify integrate NFTs, or will it be a new system that replaces Spotify because, say, Spotify doesn't want to change?
Well, let's look at gaming.
Okay.
Let's look at gaming. What is the reception to NFTs been in the gaming world?
Hated it. You know,
hated
it. Living color.
As if I can't even. So it's not been great. So how do you think the music people are going to take this? You think your average music listener is be like, yeah, give me an NFT?
I don't think the average Taylor Swift fan is on board here.
I think they will be more than gaming. I'm going to hot take. I think it will be more than gaming. Gamers.
Oh, you do want to fight me.
And I am one. Yeah, that's right. BitBoy and Tom Crown versus the Island Boys this Sunday.
Yeah.
No,
he knows who to team up with.
No one's going to get that.
Yeah.
Gamers, I am a gamer, and I play League of Legends. It's the most toxic thing in the world. We like to reject stuff. We like to hate stuff. I think that the music community will actually be more embracing than the gaming, and especially because we see artists, you know, they're individuals and they're not getting maybe the revenue or, you know, the return that they should be. Whereas in gaming, we're looking at these big companies like Riot, and nobody has any sympathy for them. They're making billions on billions. It doesn't matter. I think music will be more receptive as a community.
That's one thing. That's one thought. That's one opinion from Mr. Tom Crown. So that's an opinion. Good job. Look, I'm not saying the music people will reject it as much as the gaming community has, but I think it's a little bit harder of a road than people think. And here's the deal: we see this every 4 years. Every 4 years, we're geniuses. Every 4 years cycled in the middle of those 4 years, we're idiots, right? Well, I think that's what we're going to see with this too. Whereas the next bull run, when people are more bullish and more receptive to crypto, I think we'll see a lot more reception to music and NFTs. I don't think over the next year or year and a half, we're going to see a lot of that. I project, maybe 2025, we're going to get a lot more excitement around NFTs. And what we discovered through doing work with a lot of these projects like Opolis or Audius is that they're not ready yet. None of this music NFT stuff is really, really, really ready yet. There are some music NFTs, but the platforms building them out, they're just not ready for mass adoption yet by any stretch of the imagination. So I do think it's a little bit further off than a lot of people
All right,
think.
Danny, real quick, are you a gamer?
I actually used to game, but not anymore. So
okay, what's your take on who will be more receptive in the future? Is it going to be the gaming community or is it going to be the music community? Where are we going to see NFTs have that mass adoption first?
So my personal take, I would say gaming, 100%, and then I would go towards music, and then I would actually go towards athletes. And I feel like athletes and artists would come last. Gaming, I feel like, is going to be that first starting point, because as a gamer, you're in front of your computer, you're in front of like PlayStation, Xbox, you're already in front of electronics that you're used to digital goods, digital items, things like that. So you already have one foot into the door, and you'll be more accepting of NFTs and the power that they hold. And so I feel like gaming is going to be that starting area, and then eventually going down to music. Like Spotify is already like testing like NFTs, like you can use your NFTs, but there's nothing substantial coming from that except for that. But I feel like music will come eventually, where it can be like selling concert tickets or like selling albums, and you get certain perks to like go VIP backstage. And then eventually it will trickle down to like athletes. Like, for example, Michael Jordan's son and like one of his business partners, they started something with NFTs where basically people can buy it of like high school, college, and like professional athletes, and you get perks and stuff like digital goods. So I feel like it's going to start with gaming because they're already in the technology niche, and then it's going to trickle down to the whole music aspect, and it's going to go to the athletes after that.
All right, good points there. Yeah, we have.
Could I add
go
just
ahead, Mac.
a little thing? So so I think one important thing with the music and the sports, right? So for music itself, I think they're a little more prime than we may think, just because of the nature of the fans, super fans who are associated with musicians and who are building. So I've seen with some of the companies that we're working with firsthand that NFTs allow for partitioning your fan base and your super fans. That's why communities are so powerful, is because it creates a community of like super fans for their brand. So we've actually seen through kind of experiments that fans are open to the NFT space. And it may be just a different way to do it, but like the current evidence that I've seen is that actual music fans are ready for NFTs if done properly.
It's going to be interesting. We have artist royalties and concert tickets for the music side. On gaming, we have, say, Fortnite skins or transferring your 2K players' stats. So both have value propositions. Who's going to win? It's going to be an interesting race, but that's all we got time for. And it looks like Ben narrowly took it down. It was actually a pretty close episode there towards the end. Ben,
let's go.
Free. Let's go. Leave us with some
one show for the first time in weeks.
Yes, it's been weeks. Fortnite. Yeah. Speaking of Fortnite,
I think I'm on like a 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 win streak, something like that. But let me tell you guys what, stuff going on with the SEC is not good. Stuff going on with FTX, we talked about this morning, is not good. But look, ultimately, there are good people out there trying to lead crypto regulation, like Caroline Pham, Brad Garlinghouse, Charles Hotska. All these people are working on positive stuff. John Boozman, Cindy Lumps. We got a lot of people fighting on our side. So there's a lot of evil people out there. But, ultimately, I think we're going to win. And also follow all these people.
It doesn't have to be stressful. Get you a Baked Nation plot and hang out with Snoop and son and just chill and relax. It's going to be okay. We'll be greener hills on the other side. That's all we got. BitSquad. DZ out.
Frankie.
And Frankie's live in 10 minutes.